Hello, everybody, and just give me one moment. Lovely technical difficulty, but I need to do one thing. But let me share my screen as I do that so you can have a nice visual behind you. But welcome. I'm so glad to see that there are lots of people here, and I'm excited to share some information. I also want to welcome our Dean, Amy Mead, who will be joining us shortly, and I will probably start without her. But like I said, just give me one moment, and I am going to be able to start. All right. Here we go. So welcome. Can everybody hear me okay? I feel like I
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Good.
All right. So again, welcome to the presentation for early college at St. Louis Community College for Webster Grove High Schools. What is exciting is that we have had this program with Webster for 3 years now, and we had some graduates in 2020. Um, last May, but unfortunately, COVID, we did not have a graduation. But luckily, this year we are having a graduation, and we will be inviting the 2020 graduates and the 2021 graduates together. So that is very exciting to see these students be rewarded for the hard work and 2 years of work that they did to get not only their associate's degree and also their high school diploma at the same time. So as I said, Dr. Amy Mee will be joining us shortly, and she'll be able to talk a little bit more about part of our program. And she is the main dean at St. Louis Community College, who is over the early college. And then myself, Diana Johnson, I am the dual credit enrollment coordinator. So I am the one that kind of helps facilitate to make sure that you'll get applied to the college, that you meet the requirements, and once you are accepted into the program, then I will also help facilitate throughout the whole semester. So make sure you're connected with advising, make sure you have your schedules, you're registered, and help with any other questions or to connect you to the right people at the high school. So I'm kind of like your extra support at the college, along with we have so many more people that will support and help you along your journey. And then I don't know if Dean Mead has been able to enter yet or not.
I'm here. She's here.
Hi. Oh, good. Perfect.
Hi.
Well, there's my segue. So I'm gonna introduce Dr. Mead, and she will be able to speak a little bit more about introduce herself and speak a little bit more about the early college programs that I have up here.
Thank you, Diana. I heard some of your introduction. I appreciate that. I'm Amy Mead, and I'm the Dean over Arts and Communications at Merrimack. I originally became a part of the early college team several years ago now. I want to say it's probably been 6 years. I was at our Forest Park campus as a dean and started the St. Louis Public Schools program with them. And that was our first full early college program. So really exciting opportunity that allows students to really leave their high school in their junior year. And some students do this for their senior year only, but you essentially take a full load of college classes, which is generally 12 to 15 hours of credit classes, instead of going to your day at the high school, which allows a lot of really good things to happen. You can finish high school and simultaneously finish an Associate of Arts degree. And that's proven to be a really good foundation for those students who want to then transfer on to a four-year institution. It allows students to get some really good groundwork done while they still have lots and lots of support at both their high school and at the community college. So then when they go on to four-year institutions, they the research shows that they actually do better than their counterparts who did not have that type of experience either at a community college or an early college situation. there's flexibility within the district. So the Webster Groves district may not be exactly like another program if you have heard about it other places. For instance, St. Louis Public Schools only does a full-time junior and senior year. And I think, Jenny, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Webster has allowed students to just go for their senior year at times. Is that right?
We haven't, but we certainly can be flexible just depending on the student and the situation and availability
okay.
of scholarships. Yep.
Okay. I didn't want to scare anybody that they had to go for 2 years, but it is a really, really good option. It's, of course, this last year has been very unusual for everybody and us included, but generally speaking, this program allows you to get your feet on the college campus and to participate in everything that you might be interested in on the college campus, because essentially you are a St. Louis Community College student. So the clubs and the activities that are available to college students, you're one of them. So if you're into arts and if you're into newspaper or you're into playing music, it's all there available to you. Of course, if you are in this program, you have an automatic reduction of the cost of college, because not only are you doing 2 years at the community college, but you're also benefiting from your school district assisting you to go to college for 2 years, which is an incredible opportunity. And a lot of people are not aware of the Core 42, which is in the state of Missouri. There's been legislation passed that requires public schools to work together. So once upon a time, you could have taken classes at the community college or any college really, and then gone to transfer those to another institution. And they would say, well, that's nice. We'll give you general elective credit, which means they kind of go in your bucket of credit hours, but they don't help you move along your path towards graduation. So there was legislation passed that said, if you take English 101 at St. Louis Community College, that has to count as the first English class at every public school in the state. So those rules apply to general education, which is roughly 42 credit hours of our overall degree. And they allow you to transfer to any public college or university in the state of Missouri. And those classes count as the classes that you took them. And there's actually on the state website a big library that tells you at each institution what that class is going to count for. And so I bring that up now because that's fine. Not only is that is the program a big savings to you, but it's a guaranteed savings because you take those credits forward with you, and they'll work for you your entire undergrad. So it's a strong benefit in the state of Missouri. Those partnerships are specific to the public schools, but I can tell you, as someone who previously worked in a private institution, the private institutions are recognizing them too. They're not required to, but they're interested in having transfer students. And so they are also giving credit in the different areas like they were a public school. Diana, is there anything I need to really hit before we move to the next topic?
I think you've hit a lot of it. So I can move on to the next slide if you'd like.
Sure.
Or do you want me? All right.
That's fine. So there is a more responsibility for students who come into this program. So we have certain limitations on what we can do for students without them asking for it. So we can't call their parents and let parents know what's happening. And so we have to have students who are ready to move into an educational environment where they advocate for themselves. So it's a time when they really have to transition from maybe their daily life in high school, which is a bit more managed than their daily life as a college student. They have to be able to ask for help when they need it, or at least if they're not asking their professor, they would be asking sort of their coaches in this environment, which we call a liaison, which is Gennady, or maybe going to Diana and saying, I know I need to have this conversation with a professor, but I'm a bit worried. Can you give me some tips? And then that that support person would provide sort of some words of wisdom, coaching ideas in terms of getting the student onto their own feet to ask for help. This is a place where the student really needs to be able to manage their own time and sort of manage themselves, because there are a lot of things to keep track of. If you have been to a college class, faculty members provide their own personality worth of support. So some of them are really hands off. They hand over the syllabus and they say, here's what I expect of you. And others do reminders, like there's a test coming. But at the end of the day, the student needs to be able to look at the materials provided and kind of plot out, okay, I need to get a calendar. I need to see where my tests are going to fall, and take a lot of that responsibility on their own. And on top of, just dealing with the academics, there is sort of that emotional maturity and goes hand in hand with the responsibility. And a lot of our high school students are there. So they're ready to take that on. They just may have not been called upon to do that prior to now. And it's always really, really helpful if you're a student or you are a student who has what we call kind of grit, like you persevere, and you may have like a difficult time, but you decide, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take it on further and keep going. And it always helps in this particular situation, because you have to be sort of not just your own boss, but also your own encouragement, and keep making sure you're in communication with those who are there to support you. Trying to look through the notes so I don't miss anything.
Oh, sorry. I think you covered them all.
And a lot of other questions do come up in the Q&A, so I don't want to try and address everything before we have our chat. But it's a really interesting and fun program, and I think that students who are interested in this next step of being a little bit more, I don't want to say responsible, but taking on like next challenge in the college level classes, they really find it beneficial. Is that you or is that me?
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't me. I had a little bit of background noise, so I muted myself to make sure it wasn't me. But I think, the next 2 slides are mine, and then we will be done. So I will go through those really fast, and please feel free to add anything else, Dr. Mead, as I go through them.
Well, I just want to let the parents and students also know that we'll be open to answering any questions that they have. And if they want to know sort of just like daily life kind of questions with the college, then we'll be happy to answer those as well.
All right. So just kind of transitioning into what Dr. Mead has already shared with you all, why should you start college with STLCC? Some of this was kind of talked about, so I'm just going to go over this really quickly. But accessibility, you have we have so many different ways now with COVID. Some things were negative, but some things opened the door more. So now we have not only online and hybrid, but we have some live virtual lecture options where you still get that specific day of class and time and interaction with your teacher and classmates, but some of it virtual and some of it is actually on campus. So there's a lot of different options, accessibility, not only for the types of classes you take, but there may be a class you may want to do online versus on campus. We always suggest, though, your first semester, you try to do as much face-to-face as you can until you kind of get used to the transition. But there's a lot of different options out there, like the hybrid and live virtual lectures that will give you kind of the best of both worlds. Program options, you guys will be focusing on the Associates of Arts of General Transfer Studies, but there are some electives that you may be able to go further into what specific career choice or a 4-year degree you want to go into. We have a student-centered learning environment. We have so many different areas of academic support services and access office services, and pretty much anything you need you can get. You just have to know where to go. And that's where you're lucky enough that you get me to kind of help provide that extra boost besides the traditional way of getting your support from the college. And we've already discussed affordability, so I am not really going to go over that much more. And that really kind of ends it, because this last slide, I believe your high school is going to go over with a little more specifically, and I will go over, once you're chosen, how to do the processes with St. Louis Community College. So thank you guys very much for listening to our presentation.
All right, thanks. I'm going to get my presentation up here now. Okay, so, you know, this is the first year that I have been the official liaison, you know, of the program, but it has been great having, you know, one point of contact at the community college and being able to get answers directly from the campus and really just serving as a bridge for the students. So sometimes the questions that I ask are on behalf of students, sometimes they're just from my end, with paperwork being transferred, but it really has been easy to get information that I need and getting updates on registration and things like that. So I'm very confident in our partnership with St. Louis Community College. It's been really, it's been great for me as a college counselor to understand community college a little bit better as we focus on four-year schools so much. So I'm really confident in the program and can see how well it works for our students. So for the program, I'm the main point person for the students specifically, and then also I'm you know, work with the college itself. We had Miss Ramondo Craig on. She's the principal over the program, so she also has sort of a say when we are making larger decisions. She's part of that team. And then Coach Prince, who is our assistant athletic director, he also will help with student meetings and things like that and checking in as part of our team. So for admission and selection into the program, and this is specific to Webster Groves High School, we've seen over the last 3 years, you know, students be most successful who have taken challenging classes and done well in their first 2 years of high school. Essentially, students, instead of having a junior and senior year, they are jumping right into college level work in August. So those students need to have, of course, some of those soft skills that Dr. Mead was talking about, but also need to have some academic foundation. And so the you know, cumulative GPA of a 3.5 or higher is what's recommended and where we see the students with the most success. But we do know that there are some students who are a little bit of late bloomers, or maybe had a rough, you know, class somewhere and their GPA is below a 3.5, but have the motivation and the drive and the intelligence to do college work. So it is not a hard requirement, but obviously, you know, we're going to take into consideration several different things. Students below a 30.5 can still apply, and we encourage you to apply, but we will require 2 letters of recommendations from staff members at school. So on the application materials that I've emailed out, there's a link that you can actually send to the teacher. And so they'll just click some boxes and basically sort of give me and our team a preview of how, you know, your student performs in class and their strengths and weaknesses, and you know, any support they may have, and any other, you know, information that they may have that we can't see, you know, on a transcript. So that's just kind of raw data looking at the transcript. Also, we take a look at attendance and disciplinary record from Webster Groves High School. You know, we are sending our students off into a adult environment. So we hope that they will, you know, conduct themselves as adults. That's the expectation of, you know, the college, and we want our school to be represented well on the campus. And that has never been a problem before, but we do just take a look at attendance and discipline. Attendance is a big factor too, because if you can remember back to college days, parents, like, you really can't miss class. You know, there's so much content being covered. in a short amount of time, your grades and your outcomes in your class are really reflected by your attendance in that class. And so students with strong attendance will do better. 2 essays that are written by the student. And these are essays, but they're just sort of short responses. They're 150 to 500 words, so nothing terribly long. But just there's a couple different questions just for us to get them to know them a little bit better. And there's a place for them to explain any difficulties that they may have had in high school, and really just their desire to be in part of the program. The signed agreement is in there, and that is just a lot of information basically about the things we're talking about today. Just agreeing to, adhering to rules and expectations and meetings and things like that. So you can read through that in the application. And once we do accept our class of students, they are not fully accepted into the program or won't be able to register until they pass the AccuPlacer exam at STLCC. So that's a test that basically determines a student's entry point into reading and math. So there's a reading test, and then there's also a math test. Most of our students who have met the above requirements don't really have a problem with meeting that reading requirement, but the math requirement sometimes may not be up to the college level math course. So students who have completed Algebra 2 tend to test better into that intermediate algebra math course. And then students who have completed geometry still can do that, but it could be a little bit more difficult. So that is part of the program and the entry requirements. And so we can talk a little bit more in detail about that. If you have questions, of course, feel free to give me a call. The school district provides the opportunity for 5 students to do this program beginning at their junior year and continuing on to their senior year. And the school district covers the full tuition costs for up to 17 credit hours per semester for up to 5 full semesters. As well as $500 of books for each semester. So that is basically enough for them to complete an associate's degree by graduation along with their high school diploma. And there are some students who an associate's degree is not part of the plan, and that's okay too. So they're taking fewer credit hours, but still able to get, dozens of hours completed before they head off to college. Okay, so the application process the application's due on Friday. So I'm happy we were able to get this meeting in before then. And it is to be completed through the Google form that is linked here and in the email. And so the students will kind of go through the essays, and everything are included in there. If you have a student with below a 3.5 cumulative weighted GPA, they will need to have the teachers also fill out these recommendation forms. And it shouldn't take the teachers very long. It's not a traditional letter, just places for them to check boxes and give any notes. In the case that we just feel like we need more information, we may pull your student in for an interview. And so it would be a very informal interview, not a high pressure situation whatsoever, but it would really just give probably me, Miss Raimondo, and probably another teacher or counselor, just an idea of, the class, and just to kind of hear from you a little bit and see, how good of a fit you would be into the program. So some of the expectations for Webster Groves on the students. So STLCC sort of laid out what they think a good college student is, and we have many of those same expectations. But really the biggest thing that students are usually surprised about is that in order to get a passing grade in college, you have to get a C or better in your college course. So while in high school you can get a D, pass the class, get your credit, move along, a C is what you would need as a minimum in order to get credit and move along in your college course. So if you would get a D in your English 101 class, that's something that you would have to retake the next semester in order to keep progressing towards your college degree. Students will complete their WGHS requirements at the same time as they're completing their requirements at college towards their associate's degree. So that college, composition course 1 and 2 is what most students start with as juniors. That will count as their full year of junior English class, and that will be transcripted as such on their transcript. Students who do take the classes at St. Louis Community College, we do give those weight. So they get a weighted grade for each of those college courses they complete on their high school transcript. So they do, have that opportunity to get, some equivalent courses if they were going to planning to take an AP or an honors course in a specific area. In general, students do attend full-time at Merrimack. So they don't come to the building. They're in usually 4 or 5 classes each semester. And so their classes are spread out like a typical college student. And so they really don't spend any time at WGHS. We do, though, have the opportunity if student has an elective course and it happens to fit in with their schedule for that semester, we can allow them to take a course at Webster. So I have one of our first year students who's a junior. He's been able to take German on campus at WGHS this year, along with his college, course load, because that's a language that he wasn't able to continue on at STLCC. During this semester, and Elsa can talk to you a little bit about this more, we do have weekly meetings. So this year, I intended to be on campus at Merrimack so the students could come and check in with me in person and we would meet. And that has all been shifted to a virtual format. So every Thursday at 1:15, I meet with my students, and it's a very quick meeting in most cases. We just kind of check in and, I kind of ask them how things are going, what's coming up, if registration's coming up, we talk to them about that process. The juniors just took the ACT, so we talked about, okay, you need to let your professors know that you're going to be absent from class that day. If they have questions, give them my information. You can be excused from that. So we just sort of talk about some of the logistics of being a college student and then also some of the things that are going on at Webster. So I try to keep them kind of in the loop and knowing, because they really are, still a Webster student as well. In terms of student engagement, we, really, they are off and, participating as a college student. But again, they are required to attend weekly meetings. We do give students a half credit each semester awarded from Webster Groves High School for their attendance to these meetings. So they earn a credit and a grade because they are checking in regularly with me and their peers. So that's something that we do require. At the beginning of each semester, I get the student schedules and I set a time that all the students have without a class. So it's not anything they'll have to miss class for, and it will flex from, from semester to semester. Obviously, I mentioned some, attendance earlier, but attendance is very important and they should be following the attendance policy at STLCC first and foremost. So, this year our spring breaks didn't line up. So, that was a little wonky. So our meetings, we just took a 2-week break. But they should, they are an STLCC student first because that's where their courses and their grades will be primarily coming from. Students are responsible for their own transportation to their class. This year, all of my students were online. I think one had part of his photography class at the campus and was able to make that work. But students are responsible for their own transportation to campus. If that is an issue or you want to talk about it, we certainly can. There's maybe something we could work out, but in general, just with the sporadic nature of courses and how they change from semester to semester, that's part of the responsibility of the student. Then, of course, code of conduct, behavioral policies at all times. So just, being a good person at school and on into college. Okay. Financial expectations, there aren't many actually. So again, for 5 students, the district covers their tuition costs, and books and supplies. If a student is taking fewer classes, so maybe they take 12 credit hours, in the past, we have gotten permission from the district to help them pay for their summer courses as well. So if their goal is an associate's degree, we will help them get to the associate's degree with helping with tuition over the summer if they decide to take classes, you know, a lighter load during the school year. Like I mentioned before, a C is a passing grade in a course. So students who get a D or an F in a class may be asked to repay the class. So they would have to repay the district on that. Now, we haven't had students in that situation because it's my job to monitor them throughout the semester, build in supports that they need, give them access, you know, and empowerment to go get a tutor if necessary, to try to avoid that, right? So that's our goal. We by no means we don't want the students in this program to have to retake courses or drop out of them. We really want them on a path to success. And then again, the transportation is on there as well. I think the biggest question I get is, am I still a Webster student? Yes, absolutely. You'll have a Webster Groves High School transcript, and it'll say early college partnership on there, you know, for all of your hours of the day, and you will attend classes at STLCC. Students can still be in athletics. They can do, you know, after school jazz band. They can, you know, be on the robotics team, as long as it fits, you know, it works around their student schedule. STLCC, they are for sure still eligible athletes with Misha and all of that. They can go to prom. They can, you know, come to pep rallies if that works, as long as they're not missing, you know, class to do so. Any class events that we have, like I mentioned, the ACT, the juniors came and took that test that day. If there's, you know, a service day, any big major events, they are, you can attend at school. So, and I am the one who kind of help figure out that if it conflicts with class and if it's a good idea, we can kind of talk about that too. Some students, like I mentioned, may be able to attend a class at WGHS in addition to their classwork at STLCC if the schedule works out. So usually we know that pretty well in advance, so we're able to do that. Okay. All right, so another one what we mentioned is that how does participation in ECP impact your college admissions. So students have the ability to earn an associate's degree by graduation, but some may not. Some may not get to, you know, the 63 hours I think it takes to get an associate's degree. Maybe they get to 56. That is fine. Any of the credit that they earn is college credit that they can take wherever they go. And so that benefit is, you know, greater than not having any at all. And it's definitely not an all or nothing sort of situation. If you've been through the college admissions process with other you know, students of yours or your children, you know that colleges vary depending on the state, depending on the institution, the type of school, how selective it is, on how much credit they're willing to accept from outside institutions. Some don't have a limit, so it really, really varies. But in general, and you know, Dr. Mead can probably talk about this too if you have questions at the end. Across all of the districts that do it, this program has far, you know, benefited students way more in college admissions because, you know, as a 17, 18-year-old and you're applying to college, and you're saying, well, I've already done all of this and I've done it on my own and I did it while I was in high school. That just shows the college that you're able to do it and that they, you know, can trust that you're going to come to campus and do what you're told and get your grades and, you know, increase their statistics even. So in general, I actually just made a call to Mizzou last week to double check on the status of students who would be transferring. And the students who come from STLCC in the early college program with an associate's degree or not, their credits transfer because they're part of the core 42 courses. The courses they signed up for transferred to Mizzou. The students are also eligible for first-time freshman scholarships. So those are based on GPA and ACT. So as long as they meet those criteria, they also get to transfer in their credit. So I know we had a graduate from the program last year who was planning on going into nursing school. She came out of ECP with her associates. And, I think at this point, she probably has a year and a half, she just has her clinicals left of nursing school. And so really just, increased her confidence on getting into the nursing program at Mizzou, which can be pretty competitive. And, she's obviously doing really well. So the students are doing well and they're ready to go when they get to campus. They have it all figured out. That rocky first semester that we hear about a lot, people coming home, the students have figured that out, have already had 2 years in by that point. So we're pretty proud of those outcomes. All right, so we have Elsa with us. Elsa is, I guess saw some lightning, sorry. Elsa is a junior at Webster, and this is her first year in the program. She's doing really well. So I'm just gonna kind of let her talk a little bit about her experience, what it's been like. Obviously, we're dealing with an atypical situation because when we signed her up and told her she was in the program, it was the day before spring break, and then the entire world changed. So I'll kind of, with that cliffhanger, I'll let her go ahead and talk a little bit about her experience.
Hi, I'm Elsa. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
we can hear you.
Okay. Well, I've really enjoyed it so far. I think so the biggest difference I've found is that you aren't doing like a bunch of busy work. Like you aren't just like doing work for the sake of work. I feel like all the assignments I've had have been very purposeful in like helping me learn what I have to. And it's kind of nice, like not having someone over your shoulder all the time, making sure like, hey, turn in this assignment. So it's nice having that like independence. What else? The professors are really cool so far. I haven't like strongly disliked anyone. They're all pretty cool. Of course, it's been weird because we've been online. I haven't been to campus at all. I will be next semester, but not this semester. I don't know what else to say.
How has it been? I guess maybe talk a little bit about how has it been socially, like, just being, obviously you're doing virtual classwork and that's difficult, but have you been able to connect with other students or other students in the ECP program? Tell me a little bit about that.
I've connected with a few students in some of my classes, especially like when I don't know what's going on. People are very helpful because if I'm confused about something, they're probably also confused. Most teachers have some sort of like study group somewhere that you can join. Like my political science class, like there's a student who like, they aren't in the class, but they like run a study program. I don't know what that is called, but she is cool. With the other students from WGHS who do this program, I already kind of knew them, but I got a lot closer to them. We have a chat, and anytime we're confused about something or like when tests are coming up, we talk about it. And I got lucky because my best friend is also in it. But I've liked it socially, like better than high school, especially since a lot of the other students that I'm around are more similar to me. They're very academic. And I've enjoyed that a lot.
Great. So does anyone have questions for Elsa or me or Dr. Mead or Ms. Johnson about the program? Anything you're curious or we didn't cover?
Can I just touch on a couple of things that Elsa mentioned briefly? Just the person that's in their class offering study experiences is a supplemental instructor, and it's a student that's completed the class successfully, and then they kind of ride along another semester in that class and offer study sessions for the students who are actively enrolled in the class. So it's a really interesting and I think it's kind of a fun part of our support process for classes in general, because it's a neat way for students to connect on an academic level. I also wanted to mention that we have free tutoring on campus, and right now it's online as well as on campus for all students who are enrolled. The tutoring is available day and night. They do a lot of programs to help students get prepared. They have a Long Night Against Procrastination program that runs every year to help students just get started on like long-standing projects. Like sometimes you hear about a project at the beginning of semester, and then this evening, like 2 or 3 in the morning, helps students just get started on those kinds of projects. But we do actively seek out ways to support our students and at no additional cost to them. And I think one of the things in the tutoring center has been like switching gears from into a new way of thinking about tutoring. So a lot of times we think of tutoring as what you do when you're already in trouble. And it's kind of a negative, but in our environment, like seeking out tutoring is a real positive. It's something to do right from the start, like well before you have any issues. I can tell you from the math department, those students who seek out tutoring, even before they have identified that they might be having difficulty, have the highest grades of any of the other students taking math. So it has a huge impact, and it's available for all of our students, both in person and online. So I think that's always something good to have in mind before you even start.
Any questions that any of you have?
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I'll turn my mic on, sorry. So Elsa, hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. So my question is, it's like 2 questions in one. What is like the biggest thing that you've had to get acclimated to with the transition of high school and college? And then what's something that you implemented to ensure that you'll be successful in this program?
Oh, I like that question. So the biggest thing I've had to like acclimate, I don't know the word, get adjusted to
Yeah.
is, so there's less assignments, but they're bigger. So
Okay.
your like professor will tell you that you have this paper due in like 2 months. And at first I was like, oh, I have 2 months to do it. I'll like start it in like a month. I'll be fine. No. So I had to get better at like working at it bit by bit, going along instead of just waiting and procrastinating, because you could do that, but then you're gonna end up with a bad paper. So I had to get better at planning my time, I guess is the better word, but it wasn't that difficult. What was difficult was like recognizing that I had to do that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
That's an amazing answer too. I'm like thrilled to hear that answer.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you for sharing that. That's just so amazing.
No problem.
Okay, there's a couple questions in the chat. One is, how soon will students be notified if they're accepted? So pretty quickly. It's our goal to get the students admitted probably within a week to 10 days of the application deadline, which is Friday, because we will need to have them take their placement test and then start the enrollment process. And it's my hope that we have the students completely enrolled in their classes for the fall, definitely by the time the end of the school year comes around. So in that enrollment process, really, once the test is done, it really takes, I would say, a week to 10 days fully to meet with an advisor, to meet with me. and just decide on, the courses that you want to take. Another question was, being a community college, are the majority of the classes during the morning and afternoon, or are there night classes as well? So students can take classes at any time. I think most of my students that I've worked with so far have stuck with the daytime. But there's some students who are night owls, so maybe the evening is a better time for them to take class. In the St. Louis Community College, folks might have a better answer for this. My best answer is just to keep it consistent. I think consistency is key. Establishing a routine for a student is important. So, just doing things on a regular pattern seems to work best. But yeah, we don't really limit the time that the students have to take the class.
We do have daytime, afternoon, morning and afternoon, as well as evening classes. And coming in fall, we are expanding our offerings on Saturdays as well.
Huh?
And so there's really a lot of variety. And I want to echo the sentiment of sort of picking the schedule that fits your lifestyle and being consistent in that. Because one of the transitions that students have to make is that we don't provide the same kind of daily experience as the high school. So you don't arrive at, I'm not sure of the times that Webster High is now, but 7:30 and go until 2:30 or whatever it might be. Essentially a 35-hour work week. We don't have that. And so students will pick up to 17 hours, which is the 17 hours in class. And then they have to maintain the balance of the hours as far as doing homework and doing research and preparing for class. And those things are all sort of at the student's schedule. And so you want to pick classes that fit with your lifestyle and also give you time to do all those preparations. So if you're not a morning person, you could take your classes in the afternoon, but if you're not a morning person and you also work in the evenings across the full week, you aren't giving yourself a lot of time to take care of the preparations that are required. Elsa mentioned, she knew about a paper 2 months ahead of time, and she very astutely shared that she had to get started early, right, to make it, because the faculty member is giving you 2 months to do that paper because they want you to research and have a paper that looks like you spent 2 months on it. If you spend a weekend on it, it may be the length the paper is supposed to be, the topic the paper is supposed to be, but it's not the quality and the depth that it needs to be because you didn't take the 2 months. So it's important to really look at the kind of person you are, when you're productive, what your obligations are, and plan your schedule in a way that complements that.
And then someone asked, what kind of clubs are offered at the community college?
So I'm over arts and communications. I know a lot of the clubs that fall into that arena. We have, like in theater, there's productions that one can be a part of in terms of I want to say apply, but that's not right. You can audition and be part of the production. We have 2 or 3 productions a year. There are musical groups. We have photography club. We have ceramics club. We have a variety of fine art production clubs in terms of like making art and sharing that. I know in math and science, although it's not my comfortable suit, we do have chemistry club. There is a horticulture club for people who are into plants. There's a newspaper. Sort of outside of a specific discipline, there's student government, which any student is able to participate in that. Diana, you're welcome to help if you have a thought there. There's a variety of like affinity clubs. So there's religious based clubs. There's, I'm trying to think. I think there's the Young Republicans and the Young Democrats, and there's a variety of those types of political clubs as well. Trying to think.
Yeah, and it looks like Diana actually put a link in the chat to some campus life organizations and kind of get a peek for some other things students do outside of class.
Yeah, we have also honors societies like Phi Theta Kappa. Our students in the ECP are eligible once they have met the GPA. They're invited to the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. There's really a lot of clubs, and if you go to that link that that Diana shared, you can see all the many varied things. And even this year during COVID, the clubs have tried really, really hard to stay connected and offer programming, even in a virtual environment. And I know that they are all super excited about getting back to campus and being able to participate in person.
Okay, another question was, so WDHS students who are chosen may not end up in classes with other ECP students. That's correct. There are pretty much, they all take the same, I would say out of 5 classes, they typically have similar classes, like three of them are pretty similar. So that's something that I've always sort of wanted the students to take classes together, but it just really depends on the student and their own personal schedule. I know Elsa and a couple of the other students work part-time, so they have specific needs. So we want to be reflexive, to that. But because we meet together, that, at that weekly point, sometimes they end up in classes together. I think kind of share experiences. And there is opportunities for students to meet in those study groups within the class so that they can build relationships with other ECP students from around the county or even just current college students.
So if I could share from the college perspective, while I see like the appeal of being in classes together and there's some good support there, it's actually, the research shows that students do better if they're not in classes together. At least if there's a large number of early college students, because the mixing in with the college age students is what really brings the experience out of the high school experience and into the college experience. So sort of like you're encouraged to like raise your game because you're mixing in with college age students. And a lot of times our faculty and other students don't necessarily even know that our early college students are high school age students. And that's, I think, speaks very highly of the students who have participated in this program in the districts across the county, because they are at the caliber that they need to be, and they're mature and they're doing the work that any other college student might be. And so it actually benefits the students to not have like a class full of their high school age students. Now, on the other side of that, for support, while we haven't been able to use it this year, we do have a really nice new early college center where students from all the different programs are able to come in, and we have resources there. I have little mini labs and presentation space where they can practice presentations. There's some downtime space where you can stick your lunch in the refrigerator earlier in the day and just have that camaraderie in that space. So we're looking forward to being able to let students be in that space as we go into the fall semester, and not just have the support of the technology that's in there, but also the support of students in other EC programs and classes. And you can also have that networking experience of like, so who'd you take for Psych 200? Who was a good experience, and who should I try and get? And those kinds of things. I'm not picking on the psychologists.
Okay, any other question? Oh, one more question. How many other county high schools send students to ECP at STLCC Merrimack? That might be a question for Diana. I think 8 schools. Okay, because I know Kirkwood, Lindbergh, I know the Rockwood School District does, SLPS does, but they may not send it to Merrimack. They may send it to the other STLCC campuses.
I'll probably mess this up because this Diana is amazing at, and I'm not as good. So we have Bayless, Afton, Hancock Place, Lindbergh, Webster, obviously you, Kirkwood, and I'm missing 2. Are you counting Rockwood, Diana? No. Eureka? I'm sorry. I know you're Microphone's not working.
So a lot of our neighbors around.
Neighbors, yeah.
Yeah.
I try to be like very professional about Webster because I'm a Webster graduate, and so I have like a soft
Right.
spot. So sometimes you know, it's Webster. I know it's you. It's me too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we are just, man, we nailed it on the time. It's 6:59. I just want to thank everyone for taking an hour out of your evening to learn a little bit more about the early college program. I want to thank Dr. Mead and Diana Johnson for being great partners, and Elsa for being a model student for the program. I'm so lucky to have her. She's a great leader among her peers also. So just a great program. We hope you're thinking about it and you'll put your application in. Of course, I'll be in my office tomorrow. So if you want to send me an email or give me a phone call to chat about anything you heard tonight, I'm more than willing to do so. So that is it. Okay, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I'm just putting
That's
my
fine.
email in the chat. If anybody
Okay.
wanted to send like a question specific to their situation, to me, you're more than welcome to do that. I feel like email is now connected to my brain, so I will answer anytime.
Yes, I put mine in there too, but I'm pretty easy to find, and I sent all the emails out, so you can reply to that just fine too.
Very good.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a good evening. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Bye.